Welcome to the project. Tonight, celebrations erupt as a ceasefire deal is announced. But will this guarantee a peaceful end to a brutal and bloody war in the Middle East?
The cricketers being WAG banned while on tour. It's a thing, the strict new guidelines for players' spouses.
Plus, we chat with Grammy Award-winning R&B singer Leon Bridges.
And the experts that reckon being a middle child means you're better than everyone else. I don't know, but I reckon they conducted that survey, if you ask me, because we know they're not for sure.
Finally to get some attention.
Finally got some attention.
Yeah, it makes sense.
We are live from the lands of the Cooler Nation. Joining us tonight on the desk, comedian and friend of the show, Sammy J.
What a delight.
It is.
Thanks for having me in your home
today. So I love this, Sammy. It's a great.
Well,
look.
I thought there's two Sams, so I needed to sort of just do a power play. And
Would you say you're the elevated Sam on the desk?
No, what is going on?
You're in a sandwich. You're the filling.
We team up. We take them down. I love your thinking.
Love it. And then maybe one day, my son, you'll get to wear a tie.
Yeah, we will see. Let's get into today's top stories first. And Anthony Albanese has welcomed the news Israel and Hamas have agreed on a ceasefire and hostage deal in Gaza. The first phase of the agreement takes effect on Sunday. 33 hostages will be released and fighting will pause for at least 6 weeks while negotiations for a more permanent truce continue.
Australians, I believe, wanted to see the hostages released. They want to see an end to conflict. This is a really important breakthrough and step forward.
This is such big news, but it's really hard to tell how much hope we can have, isn't it?
Yeah, because ceasefires are always tenuous, they're always complicated. This one is no exception. The first thing I thought of was, you may not have even remembered this, one of the times there were headlines about a ceasefire perhaps being brokered, and we got footage of people in Gaza celebrating, only for them to discover that a deal hadn't been reached and actually those reports were all premature. And I remember at that moment thinking the level of desperation that is building up. And there is desperation in Israel as well, particularly people whose family members were hostages. But to see that happen and to see that broken, that's why this is such a big moment, and you can appreciate that. But then you look at the detail and it's like, okay, so there's a temporary pause in the fighting. Level 2, so it's 3 stages. That's one, and there's some hostages being given back. Then level 2, it starts to get vague, but it basically means you're looking at an end, like a peace deal, an end to the conflict. And I'm thinking, well, this hasn't been possible for decades, depending on how far back you want to start that timer. So there's that. And then level 3, the third phase, is the reconstruction of Gaza. Now, most of Gaza is rubble.
It's extraordinary, Tony.
So
yeah,
there's an increased delivery of aid, which is great in the meantime. But then who does that exactly? And already I'm starting to read analysis that's a bit, I don't want to say concerning, because this is a hopeful day. I don't want to diminish that. But on the Israeli side, you've got a very fragile coalition government, and there's all this talk about that government perhaps falling apart because of some people on the hard right of that government who don't want this deal. On the Palestinian side, you've got questions from Hamas and the Palestinian Authority about who will administer the aid, who's the committee that does it, and Fatah already saying things like, we're worried that this will be a way for Hamas to keep political control. Once you start hearing that stuff already, you get a sense of the fragility of it. But the only thing I can hope is it is so devastating what has happened that
it's unimaginable.
You can't go back.
But we can't take away that hope. You see the vision. You can't take it away. And I think that when I first saw that vision, I had this growing sense of embarrassment of what it was to be a human, because you're just seeing that kind of joy, and it's been robbed of people for so long.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And the hope is utterly essential.
Yes, it is. It is.
Anyway, there's a lot of space to watch there, and of course.
And we will be crossing to Gaza in the program later on.
That's true. All right, moving on to domestic news. A high-profile influencer has been arrested in Brisbane and charged with torture after allegedly drugging her own baby. Detectives have also accused her of filming and posting videos of the 1-year-old child in distress, allegedly to boost her social media profile and elicit GoFundMe donations. The woman will face court tomorrow.
There are no words to describe just how repulsive offences of this nature are. There is no excuse for hurting a child.
Other news, and the cleanup in New South Wales continues tonight after severe thunderstorms wreaked havoc across Sydney and regional areas. Strong winds also brought down power lines, leaving thousands without power. Trees crashed down onto roads and homes. Tragically, a man in his 80s was killed in Cowra when a tree crushed his car. It's suspected a house fire in Eastwood was also caused by a lightning strike.
We still have some more follow-up thunderstorms coming through, so it's going to be another busy 24 hours and probably 2 days before this eases off.
And Wollongong Council is finally putting a stop to people securing public beachside huts with Glad wrap. Like that.
What?
For years, people have been wrapping the huts up to prevent others from using them. It's long infuriated locals. Now councils put signs up banning the practice. It comes as debate rages over people securing a spot on the beach with cabanas.
I do think you get an exemption if you've also gone to the trouble of building a giant hut-sized sandwich to put inside, because that's just keeping food fresh.
I think
that's
fair
smart.
enough.
Yeah.
I went to Wollongong I went to university in Wollongong. Well, I didn't do public speaking, but I remember this is common. Often you would see the huts just kind of glad wrapped up.
One of my favourite things to do is during the newsread is to watch our audience, and there was at least half of you that was like, what?
Yeah.
Why is
They're
this
doing
not national
what?
news? We should be famous for this.
Well, do you know what I'm saying? Often the nation ignores Wollongong, and I'm finally glad to see we're on top. For once, you know.
For once.
For the thing that's about to be banned.
You don't know what we're doing next. We're going to put alfoil over stadiums. We're making it big, okay?
It is a debate that has raged for more than a century. Does your birth order affect your personality? Well, findings from one of the biggest ever studies on the subject are out. And get excited because middle children, you're about to get some attention at last.
They're the most overlooked.
Not much go about them.
I kind of like the black sheep of the family, like kind of left out a little bit.
Often overlooked in favour of their bossy elder siblings and the show-off baby of the family, middle kids have traditionally had it tough.
Marsha, Marsha, Marsha.
So I was just going to say Shaw Jan from the Brady Bunch.
They're always the lone wolf or the weird ones that do different things from the rest of the siblings.
But things are looking up for middle children because new research shows they're simply the best.
I don't believe so. Not in my family.
A survey of more than 700,000 adults analysed 6 facets of personality. The findings? Middle children are basically better people than the rest of us, coming out on top for honesty, humility and agreeableness.
I think middle children everywhere have been waiting for this story to go public. Unfortunately, our families might not get time to read it because, you know, they're busy and we're the middle children. So I think this is very good publicity for us.
The study finding those in the middle are forgiving, lenient when judging others, and willing to compromise and cooperate.
I'm usually the one with my family, or when I'm going on trips with friends or going out to dinner, I'll say like, order whatever you want, or I'll stay in any room you want. You're kind of a supporting character in everyone's life, but in a good way.
Those traits also more likely to be found in siblings who come from a bigger bunch.
In bigger families with more siblings, resources definitely need to be shared, such as attention or material resources. So this can definitely foster personality traits such as caring, consideration, empathy.
But before you middle kids get too cocky, separate studies say it's firstborns that have the edge with intelligence and the youngest that tend to be the most creative.
Regardless of your birth order, there's lots of different factors that can influence this. You're not stuck if you're the middle child. At the end of the day, people do like to fit a template, but it's not going to be applicable to everyone.
So, which sibling really reigns supreme in the birth order hierarchy?
Okay, quick test. Any eldest children? Hands up.
No. What are you
Middle
talking about?
children?
No.
Youngest children? Hey!
Grabby attention seekers.
Absolutely. I saw hands go up in the... Being youngest rules. It's so much better. Like, I don't... Middle children... This is crazy. I disagree with all of this, by the way. Middle children...
Science.
I disagree with science. It's fake news.
Was this a University of Wollongong study?
Yeah. Once we got through the glad wrapping, they were like, you can handle biology. But if you're a middle child, you can't be the best, because what it means is your parents weren't satisfied. So they had to have another go.
No. You're looking at
it means they looked at you and they were like, better have another crack, actually.
No. You're looking at it the wrong way.
I don't think so.
It's like the first one we stuffed up. The second one, this is good. Let's have another. And then it's,
I see what you're saying.
Is this adding up?
I was in a band with my 2 elder siblings called Middle Child.
Oh.
Really?
And the middle child's my brother Tim, who's an amazing guitarist.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I was the little show pony wanting to sort of, Bono my way around the stage. We lasted 1 gig.
Oh, but see, if you had created the band, and because the younger siblings the most creative,
Absolutely. Look at
it would have been a huge success.
Well, I mean, who knows?
No.
Ask Neil Finn and Tim Finn.
I don't think it would have been a success because they would have written good songs, but it's the older child that actually makes things happen.
Ah, you're
So it would have been a great...
My sister would have managed us.
Yeah, this is why we have a producer whose eldest child being like, please throw to a break now, guys.
Exactly.
We have to keep the order together. We have to go to a break. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back. We're watching The Project.
Let's see what's happening over... Oh, excuse me. Let's see what's making news over the other side of the world.
From the Oval Office, US President Joe Biden has opened his farewell address to the nation by taking credit for the Gaza ceasefire deal.
This plan was developed and negotiated by my team.
He also voiced concerns about misinformation and oligarchy. He told Americans that presidents should not have legal immunity.
The president's power is not limited. It's not absolute. And it shouldn't be.
The speech caps off not only Biden's time in the White House, but his 5 decades-long political career.
I still believe in the idea for which this nation stands. Now it's your turn to stand guard.
Following Australia's lead, Indonesia has unveiled plans to introduce a minimum age for social media use. While they're yet to decide on an age limit, politicians agree more needs to be done to protect children from online harm. Interim guidelines will be put in place while the government works out the details. And there are hefty new penalties for motorists in Vietnam if they're caught breaking the road rules. The lowest fine issued for running a red light is around $250, about half the average annual salary. And there's a $315 reward on offer for those who dob in a driver doing the wrong thing.
Okay, so I think to put this in context, we need to convert it.
Yes, okay.
So you're talking about half the average annual salary. In Australia, that's about $100,000.
Yes.
So you would be looking at a fine of $50,000
For running a red light.
for running a red light. And if you could dob someone in, you would be getting a reward of about $63,000.
Now, like, maths is not...
hang on. Yeah, I'm a bit... So you get the reward for it?
If you dob someone in, yeah.
Oh, my God. So you could make money?
Dob yourself in, like, do the crime, dob yourself in and still come out on top.
That's how you would do it. That's how you fix it.
Yeah, that's a cool way to look at it, actually. It's like kind of...
Also, of course, you're interested in dobbing people in. We've been back on air this year for like a week and a half, and this man has said that I am not a good driver at least 3 times.
Okay,
so that's,
wait. Can you
I don't
not
know.
this man me? What about, like, my close personal friend Sam having a bit of fun? This
That's like
man...
That's $180,000 that you would have
if
got
I
from
dobbed
me.
you in, I would be the richest person in this country because you're constantly, like, you know, bumping into stuff, breaking rules.
How dare.
I did some maths as well. 250 Australian dollars is 4 million dong, I believe. That's the currency. Too many dongs. Anyway, let's move to Sydney, guys.
What just happened?
I was trying to, you know,
Is
do
this,
some
is this
maths.
more University of Wollongong chat? What's
Yes.
this?
Weirdly, my brain is kind of covered in glad wrap right now. Guys, let's go to Sydney. Everyone's got Sam Constas fever. Big Bash Australian star. He plays for the Thunder now. He's arriving at training. And one cricket fan was a little too eager to meet their hero. So there's Sam. He's going to training, got his cricket kit. Love a good cricket kit. Someone drives past here, sees him.
Yes.
This is exciting. And he goes, I'm going to park. I'm going to pop in here.
no.
So he reverses it.
Are you dobbing
this
in
is
another driver?
This is a disabled spot. I could make big money in another world here.
Yeah.
He gets out of the car.
Yes.
Now
He's got to get the selfie.
He's got to get a selfie. Exactly. He's got to get a signature, I believe.
No.
Now he's got. What's he realised? Look at this. No. What? I tell you what, gives a whole new meaning to the Big Bash.
Tony, I didn't know you were going to Thunder training. It's very good. All right, off the break.
This is The Project. Welcome back.
Celebrated journalist Peter Gresta is about to go on a hunger strike to help free Egyptian-British political activist Alaa Abdel Fattah. The pair were cellmates in a Cairo prison in 2014 when they were being held on bogus terrorism charges. While Peter was released in 2015, Alaa is still behind bars. Peter's hoping his hunger strike will pressure the UK government to act on Alaa's behalf. And Peter Gresta joins us now. Peter, why does Alaa mean so much to you?
Well, literally, he saved my life, Waleed. He was one of the first people that I met when I went into prison. He is an incredibly seasoned campaigner. He'd been imprisoned by most of the regimes because he's one of Egypt's most respected, most intelligent political thinkers, pro-democracy activists and so on. And so he knew and understood what was going on, and he helped me understand what I was facing. He gave me the psychological tools to survive it. And he also inspired me to write the 2 letters that we smuggled out of prison that framed what was happening to me as an attack on press freedom. And I credit that with basically getting me out of prison. So in all sorts of ways, he's the reason I'm here and not there.
Peter, there are lots of different ways you could be campaigning on behalf of your friend. Why have you chosen a hunger strike?
Because his mum is also on a hunger strike. He was due to walk free on September 29th last year. His mum started a hunger strike on that day because he should be out, and she's protesting very forcefully, and I felt it's the right thing to do to join it. There's a lot of pressure that's building up. The timing is everything. It's one of the things that Allah made very clear to me. The timing around hunger strikes is really crucial, and it feels like now is the right time to step up the pressure. We think that there is a chance that he might be released, and so I want to be a part of the campaign.
Allah, what is the best case scenario, Peter? What is the best case scenario here for Allah?
Well, the best case is that he gets released in the next few weeks. But that would be, I think, it would be a mistake to see that as a measure of success. Campaigns like this never depend on any one thing, any one action. It's an accumulation of pressure, it's accumulation of actions and publicity and so on. And so what I'm doing is really building that pressure. It'll work eventually, we don't know when, but as I said, I'm determined to be a part of it.
Your determination's clear, Peter. It's always been clear with you, I think it's fair to say, and you're very closely attached to this story through experience as well as personally to Allah. So your words mean a lot. We'll watch this from here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks very much, Waleed.
And we'll be back with more projects right after this. Now, today, after more than a year of brutal and bloody war, a ceasefire and hostage deal was struck between Israel and Hamas as Israelis and Gazans alike took to the streets.
Joy and relief on the streets of Gaza. Removing his protective vest and helmet as he announces the ceasefire, a reporter is lifted up by a jubilant crowd. Celebrations echoing throughout the war zone. While in Israel, they prayed.
It's like a roller coaster. I'm not breathing right now. It's scary. It's scary.
A monumental breakthrough against seemingly insurmountable odds after more than 460 days of deadly and devastating war. In 50 hours, the fighting will stop.
After 8 months of non-stop negotiation by my administration, a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached by Israel and Hamas.
The ceasefire to begin on Sunday, Israel time, hours before Donald Trump's return to the White House.
Netanyahu was very much afraid, watching Trump twisting like a tornado on the horizon coming in. Would he get the same kind of deal?
Brooks, credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke? Oh, thank you.
A potential pathway out of the horror at last. The ceasefire is a multi-stage plan. The first stage, lasting 6 weeks, will see the partial withdrawal of Israeli troops, a surge of aid into Gaza, and the staggered release of 33 Israeli hostages, starting with women, the elderly, and the wounded.
Israel will negotiate the necessary arrangements to get phase 2, which is a permanent end of the war.
The third and final stage, the reconstruction of Gaza.
What they worry about is that after phase 1, there won't be a phase 2 because the ceasefire will not necessarily hold.
I'm sorry to say we're stopping the bleeding, but there's a long way to heal.
For now, those caught in the crossfire united, however fleetingly, by fragile hope. For some, that their loved ones will return.
There won't be any more opportunities like this. It's time to bring home our people.
For others, that the guns over Gaza will fall silent at last.
It's time to prove that humanity can win. Don't let us down.
We're joined now by Palestinian journalist Abu Bakr Abed, who is in Deir al-Balah in the central Gaza Strip. Abu Bakr, we've seen footage just there of Gazans celebrating. How are you feeling right now?
It's an indescribable feeling, really. But unfortunately, there have been intense attacks over the past 2 days, particularly overnight. Many casualties have arrived here in the hospital. And just like moments before talking to you, I saw how mothers were wailing over the bodies of their loved ones and just the tears in their eyes before a very, very, a very long-awaited time, which is the ceasefire. But, their loved ones haven't made it. The mothers have made it, but they haven't made it. And yet the morgue inside the hospital is still reflecting a very traumatic picture. People are still crying in pain over the losses, the unbearable losses of their loved ones and family members, and it continues like this. So people here, including me, hope that the ceasefire will be implemented today as fast as possible, because we cannot lose anybody anymore. And at the same time, I could see yesterday the happiness on the face of every single one, particularly children, because we've been traumatized, we've been going through a lot, we've been stripped of our humanity in the past, and it's our time now to have that moment, to enjoy it, and to rebuild together.
Well, Abu Bakr, the rebuilding is the part I'm really interested in. I mean, your story tells us how desperate the situation has been, and also how much of a relief a ceasefire would be. But then there's the recovery. And under the deal, the reconstruction of Gaza is phase 3. So that doesn't happen immediately. What's meant to happen in the meantime? Where do people live?
I think the first thing that will happen is the return of people to their houses in the north, which they have been displaced from since the outbreak of this genocidal war. They will be going back to their houses after 7 days when the ceasefire gets underway on Sunday. And
sorry, Abu Bakr, I don't mean to interrupt there, but I'm interested in that point. Are their houses still there?
No. Israel had destroyed more than 70% of the housing units inside Gaza. There is unfathomable carnage all across every inch inside Gaza. So it's a heartbreaking time. But I've been hearing from people around me, and they've told me, those who have been displaced, internally displaced, and they told me that they want to get back to the rubble of their houses. It's better than being displaced in another, part of the Gaza Strip. This is the main thing, because the feeling of safety is now really important for them, because they have been deprived of it since the start on October the 7th.
Just finally, on a personal level, how do you expect your life to change in the next few months?
Well, there's not much change. We have to be honest, because we're still, even when the ceasefire gets underway and there's no more wars in Gaza, we're still occupied. People have to understand that, because I'm trapped in Gaza. But I still feel happy that there is still a little relief and respite from the incessant horrors that I've been through for the past 14 months, which is incredibly harrowing and devastating. I really want to heal up, because my mental health has been devastated by the continuous bombardments and the fear and the panic. And also, I really want to feel the joy with my family. Now I can go outside, I can complete my education. I haven't completed it. So I want to get back to my life. I want to really rebuild my university, which has been reduced to rubble. I also want to be with my family, want to see my friends, want to grieve the loss of my very dearest friend, Hassan Mata, who was killed last December 2023, and my family members who were killed. So we still have pain in our hearts, but now is our time to grieve our losses, to mourn our deaths, and to feel that we are human again. We are humans again, because the world has let us down since this war started. I will do all the things that I wanted to become. I will do my education. I want to be that football reporter that I've always desired since my childhood. So this is what I want. And this is now the dreams that have been shattered and that have been destroyed over the past time of the course of this genocide now will be rebuilt. Everyone has a dream. Everyone had a tragedy during this time. Now we want to make sure that we will forget about those tragedies completely. And we will rebuild our dreams. We will pursue them and we will have our life back.
Oh, Abu Bakr, well, we will be there cheering you on. We cannot wait for you to be reporting on your football game. Please carry that hope with you as long as possible. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. You're so welcome.
Oh, what an incredible, incredible man. To other news now, and back home, there's light at the end of the tunnel for fed-up Sydney commuters. Industrial action that sparked lengthy delays and cancellations has been suspended until next week. Premier Chris Minns forced the issue this afternoon at the Fair Work Commission. The wages dispute now being referred to Fair Work's full bench for consideration.
And the good folk at Channel 9, they went down to see how the commuters were coping with it all. And let me tell you, it was a masterclass in canvassing the voice of the people. So here we go. Now, they're trying to talk. This lady here on the left, she's coming in.
Yeah.
Look at this. Fake phone!
Oh,
fake phone! Unbelievable. That's pretty good. Let me, player's tip, the next advanced level is fake Mikey card. You go, beep, beep, you're on. Now, luckily for our reporter, they didn't have any luck there, but this next guy was around to answer her questions. But be careful what you wish for, guys, because he was kind of keen to share his, entire philosophy on life.
I was going to say, time's very important for each and every one of us. We should spend time with our families or just have a coffee rather than sit on a train for hours. That's all for me. Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother. That's how you're. That's all from me. Like, comment, subscribe. You can catch me on the 8:23 from Penrith. I'll be there.
And young people, particularly women and particularly Georgie Tunney, are eating up grandma core content online. So this is an aesthetic inspired by a lifestyle traditionally associated with a granny. They're posting videos of their new hobbies like knitting, baking, crocheting, gardening. It's different to the tradwives thing or homesteading off the grid. Some say it's a way to find solace.
It is, though. It's meditative for me. So I crochet. I learnt during lockdown. I've continued the practice. Sometimes I give colleagues gifts and they may or may not love them. Here was Hamish and I forced this hat upon his head, but you know what? He kept it and I'm going to choose to believe he still wears it every now and then.
Really?
Yeah.
How far will you go with this? Will you start putting like a little $5 note in a birthday card for me and just, there you go, Sam, don't spend it all at once?
Maybe, but isn't this something, you can do this?
I was worried about grandmas being pigeonholed. Like maybe they're doing Tunney core. Like why do they own all these sort of events?
The idea is them just following Taylor Swift around the world, reverse parking into poles.
Getting really into K-pop, yeah. Have you done any grandpa things?
Like in terms of traditional elderly things, I feel like my whole life I've been a 70-year-old just waiting to catch up. I love a bit of the old, I trawl old newspapers to see what was happening in Melbourne in 1920,
Yeah.
I'm a pretty cool dude, yeah. Bit of stamp collecting now and then.
Really?
Really?
No, I made that up. But I just got a fake phone, sorry.
He's good. He is good.
All right, we've got to go to a break. That's all from me. I'll see you soon.
Nice.
This is the project. Welcome back.
Let's go to Victoria now, guys, where Education Minister Ben Carroll, he was on radio this morning speaking about the importance of investing in children's education. It's a great thing, but it sounds like my man is expecting a lot from our kids.
It's the most important public investment we can make in our young children, and they are our future. Climate change, cures for cancer will all rest on their shoulders in the future.
Oh, jeez, all right. Let him get through a nappy change first before you worry about climate change. Now, in fact, he was so strong on this, he even popped into Wallaby Childcare Centre. Let's see what kind of inspirational pump-up words he had for our future heroes.
You're wrong-hander. Good stuff.
There we go. Strong stuff. Because as we all know, left-handers deny climate change. So,
This man.
You got a problem?
Oh, my God, I'm near one of them. This is crazy.
Now to the debate that's rocking the world of professional cricketing spousal travel. Are professional athletes distracted when their partners accompany them on tour? India's cricket board says yes and has just implemented strict new rules for players' wives. Georgie Tunney filed this report, but only after we made her send Millsy home.
For the first time in a decade, India lost the Border-Gavaskar series against Australia. And And India's cricket bosses know who was at fault. The wives? India's Board of Control for Cricket has now decided strict tour limits will be placed upon players' partners. They will be allowed to travel for a maximum of 2 weeks on tours lasting more than 6 weeks. Shorter tours will see spousal attendance limited to 7 days.
I think there's a bit of a fine line to walk between making sure that the players spend lots of time together as a team, and when you're on tour, that's when all the great bonding happens. But there's probably a sensible middle way through. The last thing you want to do is ban people's partners and families from being with them when they're away for a long period of time.
But before you wag the finger at India's WAG ban, Australia's been there too. Alan Border imposed strict border controls for wives and girlfriends for the '89 Ashes tour. And Aussie cricket bosses did the same for the start of the 2019 World Cup and Ashes series. The spouses just always seem to cop it.
All their partners are here, and some of the most respected cricketers I played with hated that distraction. Cricket is a sport that requires complete concentration.
And that's why I don't like cricket.
But it's not just cricket that's tried pushing athletes into the monastic life. In the US, Major League Baseball players could once cop cash penalties for bringing their wives on the road. In the world of football, World Cup teams have also been subjected to strict bans on bays.
Our tours are always really short, so it never really came up as an issue. But if you're away for a long period of time, then I think it makes sense to bring your family along. I just think it's going to be managed so that you can ensure that you have team time and family time.
It's not just the matter of distraction. There's also the ongoing belief that having sex before a game can disrupt athletes' performance, and that having sex during a game can disrupt on-field play.
Here they come again. We've seen it before.
I wouldn't know if having sex before a game negatively affects performance.
So, will this ban revive India's cricketing fortunes, or will it end up being a sticky wicket?
What just happened then at the end? That was crazy.
Here to help us figure all this out is cricket journalist Bharat Sundaresan. Bharat, are India right? Are spouses a distraction, or are they just sore losers because they surrendered the trophy?
Yes.
Classic Indian cricket, right?
Yeah.
So they lose the Border-Gavaskar trophy for the first time in 10 years. They're like, okay, should we make the coaching staff a scapegoat? No, we appointed them. We can't do that. Let's go after the senior players. No, there'll be a lot of backlash. Oh, I know who has the least accountability here. Someone who doesn't play the sport or is part of the coaching staff. Let's go after the wives. And here comes the wives ban.
But Bharat, if India suddenly, turns everything around and wins every match from here on out, do we have to admit that they may be onto something?
Well, like in that package, it's happened before with other teams as well. And I think what happened with this current Indian team was it was a dressing room which was fragmented into different generational gaps. And there were certain senior players who were traveling on their own. There was no team bonding. They won that famous test in Perth. They didn't celebrate it together. I had young players bumping into me in kebab shops in the middle of the night asking me if the coach or the captain is talking about them. So there's a lot of lack of communication happening. And I think that led to the BCCI deciding to, lay sanctions on some senior members of the team without going directly, but going indirectly towards them and, imposing these wives bans. But we'll see if it turns fortunes around because they can do with it.
Has this always been India's approach?
A very interesting question that. In 2009, there was a sex dossier which was leaked to the press.
What?
The then mind conditioning coach that India had hired from overseas had slid a dossier under every player's door, which kind of encouraged players to have more sex. And apparently it did something to your testosterone levels and it would impact the performance. It happened during the ICC Champions Trophy in 2009. And there were even instructions which said, if you can't find someone, basically they said it's better than being in a bar at 2 a.m. trying to meet someone. And if you can't meet someone, there were instructions on what to do if you had to fly solo. So there was a lot of instructions and information in that dossier.
Barrett, do you happen to have a copy of this document? No? Okay,
Bharat, don't answer that. Bharat, thank you so much for your time.
Hang on.
My email address is samtorton. I think we have to go.
I'm telling you, it just involved a lot of imagination. That's all I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay, we understand. Bharat, thank you so much for your time, as always.
Thank you so much, guys.
So from touring practices on the pitch to touring practices around the country, Sammy J, you're going on
what
tour.
Are you about to ask?
No, I know. You've done this. No. You're about to go on tour, and we've had the privilege of seeing your tour poster. Do we need to start calling you Sammy Roo?
Oh, well, you may. It's the show it's based on a Roo story, if I may.
Okay.
No, this happened last year. My mate Rod invited me to his 40th birthday party. The invitation said dress up. I thought it was a dress up party.
Perfect.
I dressed up in that kangaroo onesie that you saw. I turned up. I walked into the house. That's the CCTV footage from his doorbell of me walking in.
Okay.
It was not a dress up party.
What do you
mean? He meant don't dress down. Like just dress up nicely.
Well. Wait,
Like
so
black
what?
tie.
Like just fancy, like nice linen clothes.
And you were in a kangaroo
I was wearing
costume.
that. That's the footage. Let's watch it again. That's me from
This
his.
is legit how you rocked up.
So the entire tour, the entire show is an analysis of every moment in my life that led to me getting it so wrong. Like, where did I get that outfit from? How could I misjudge it so badly, and why was I so utterly humiliated?
Oh my gosh. And you're going to tell us all of this.
It's going to be an amazing show.
You know, the irony is you're meant to be here in a kangaroo outfit, but you just dressed up.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Head to our website to
This
get
is
your tickets to see Sammy J's new therapy tour, The Kangaroo Effect.
All right, we've got to go to a break. We're finding a kangaroo costume. We'll come right back.
Welcome to the project.
Now, our next guest has brought his soulful voice to our shores.
Leon Bridges has a voice like nobody else on earth.
Lord, please let me know. Take me to your river.
With 4 critically acclaimed albums, the Grammy winner stands in a league of his own. His sound moving from Motown to soul and disco to dancehall.
Baby, 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 I'm coming home to your tender, sweet love and your...
And he's collaborated with a slew of fellow legends like Miranda Lambert, Casey Musgraves, and the reigning king of country, Luke Combs.
Scared to death that she might be it, that the love is real, that the shoe might fit. She might just be my everything and beyond.
Now Leon's back in the country, bringing his breezy sound to some of our best summer venues.
I'm in a peaceful place. I found something no one can take away.
And he joins us now from Brisbane. Would you please welcome Leon Bridges? Leon, I had a question, but then I saw this hat and sunglasses look you got going on, and I can think of nothing else. Where did you pull this together from?
So I'm from Texas, so I really try to embody that the Western vibe. But that's kind of my look, the shades and the cowboy hat,
Hey, so welcome back to Australia or Texas, wherever you are. Welcome.
Thank you.
You've said that Australia is one of your favourite spots. What's your best memory from your visits?
Man, I feel like one that's just kind of seared into my memory is the first time I came out here, and I was literally on the same flight with one of my good friends, Gary Clark, and he joined me on stage at my show, and then I did a thing with him at the Sydney Opera House, and that performance ended up being on his live album.
Leon, you have one of the most beautiful voices I think that I've ever heard, and I'm not alone in that. Do you ever get random requests from people because you do sound so beautiful? So it's like, hey, can you sing me, I don't know, this text message I just got from my mum? Can you sing me the phone book? Like, what's the most random thing?
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot from from people. They want me to do a Christmas album, and so. I think sometime this year I'm gonna try to get in the studio and.
Good to see that my messages are getting through to you, Leon. What would be some of the carols? Yeah, what's some of your favourite carols?
Traditional carols, or is this a Bublé style Christmas, like Mariah? What's it gonna be?
I think I'm gonna try to find like some like obscure, like Christmas soul records. This is a popular one, but I love Purple Snowflakes. Just try to find ones that really fit my range and my vibe.
So Run, Rudolph, Run is off the agenda.
That's not a bad one.
Do you think that you could make every single song that's ever been written sound lovely? Like, what about Happy Birthday? What about Baby Shark?
Oh, Tunny.
I mean, how does that even go?
It's okay. So now, Leon, you might just hold back your tears at how beautifully
Tunny,
I
are you
might
going to sing
right now.
You are more ready for
Don't make me sing. Don't make me sing. Don't make me sing. Baby shark, do 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 do. Baby shark, do 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 do. Now you.
Baby shark, do 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 do. Baby shark, do 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 do.
Okay, wow, that's actually much better than mine.
That's actually terrible.
What did you expect? That was beautiful. One of the nicest things I've ever heard.
Yeah, maybe a B-side to the Christmas album. I'm just saying.
Let's think about a song like Coming Home, which has turned into an absolute classic. I want to know what that's like to have this is your debut single, and then immediately it's just dominating the world. Like, what is that like?
Man, it was so surreal because, you know, I never really had any aspirations to do music in this capacity. It was more so just I picked up a guitar and was, you know, trying to perfect my guitar playing and songwriting through open mics. And yeah, we put the music on SoundCloud and it just snowballed after that. And but yeah, blessed to be here.
Leon, you're a very cool guy. That's the question, basically. I just wanted to tell you that I think you're a very cool guy. I love your music. I spent so long trying to learn the solo to Bad News. Maybe I want to be you, is what I'm trying to say. You can't see me, I don't think, but judging by my voice, do you think I could pull off cowboy hat and sunglasses inside?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, you know, anybody can rock the cowboy hat and the sunnies and make it look dope.
Leon, you can make some live sound smooth. That's all I'm saying. You can still snag tickets to see Leon live in Australia. You've got to get in quick, though. Details are on our website. Would you please thank Mr. Leon Bridges?
There we go. I'm from Texas.
Sorry. It's not.
I had it with me the whole time.
Just waiting for him to.
I wanted to do it the whole time.
That's it from us tonight. Thank God for that. Please thank Sammy Jones.